Yo, what is up, everyone? This is episode 23 of the Glimmer cast. I'm your host, Rhea, and I'm joined by a full panel of lovely folks, all of which are friends of the channel. We've got Devin from the Old Nerdcast right below me. How are you doing, Devin?
Doing all right.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming through. Oh, and we got Ken over from Retro Complex. How are you doing, my guy? I know you're a little sick right now.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm fine. I just read Saggy's new name, Toxic Melons.
She has the most amazing new avatar as well. We both got avatars illustrated by Mask of Shy, who's a really talented illustrator on Twitter. So yeah, he did amazing work with her Power Girl illustration. So yes, I love it so much. How are you, Saggy?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Of course, I want to get right to the news topics that are the juiciest and most interesting so y'all can be on your way. But last but not least, we've got RJ, Resonant Justice, in the house. How are you, my guy?
Hello, I'm doing good. It's been a long day, but I'm ready to talk some video games and other fun stuff. So,
Ooh.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so really quick, anyone playing anything good, anything interesting? I know Elden Ring, Devin and Retro, y'all have been playing it, and there's some mixed receptions across the board, but how is it so far for y'all?
No, I already finished it. That game consumed my life. I already put 137 hours, I think.
God damn.
Oof.
Yeah.
No joke. Yeah, and you have a family, a job, and you're able to play it.
Not anymore.
No, I've been playing Elden Ring too. I'm not as deep in. I'm to about 18 to 20 hours in, kind of spacing out a little bit. Playing some Fortnite too because the season ends this week. So just typical stuff.
Awesome. How about you, Devin?
Yeah, I started playing some Elden Ring, and I just completely and totally hate that game. So,
yeah. No, we can definitely get into it, but yeah, just some thoughts on it though.
It's not for me. I mean, if you like Dark Souls, then you'll love it. But I've always disliked Dark Souls, and I got sucked into the marketing around Elden Ring and ended up buying it and trying it. And I was better at it than the past Dark Souls games, but I need a stronger narrative than what the game gives you.
What build you have?
I don't even know what that means. I think I'm running. I think I'm just a vagabond. I really haven't done much. I'm level maybe 25 or something like that.
Yeah, because if you wanna then sorry for taking out the subject, but if you wanna understand the game and stuff, you should start using magic users. Magic is the easy way to go about the game.
And I watched some videos that kind of explain that too, but I think I cheaped out. I was just putting all of my runes into strength or vigor, whatever, so I can have more hit points. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know Elden Ring is one of the topics for tonight too, especially when it comes to reception that it's gotten from other game companies. But the first topic I wanted to get into, just so we can make sure we get everyone's take on it, I'll go ahead and share the article. And thank you, Ken, for sharing it with me. It's regarding G4. So, Devin, I haven't gotten the chance to hear your take on much gaming news on this channel anyway. But yeah, G4 is definitely kind of a contentious subject for some folks in the video game commentary space, especially because of the nature, I guess, of their talent, I should say, on how they want to go about talking about different issues on their platform. So yeah, really quick, this article that Ken you showed me, so thank you again. It kind of points out some hypocrisy behind some of the messaging that G4 is promoting with one host, yet with other talent that they have on their platform, it's a little unclear exactly what position they have with how they want to support women in the game space, but also try and change the narrative of women just being eye candy for talking about games in general. So yeah, Devin, since I don't know much about your coverage of this topic, have you gotten the chance to hear about this and have any thoughts on it?
I haven't actually read this article just yet. Do you mind scrolling down just a little bit?
Oh, sure. And I'll definitely zoom in a bit as well. So basically, Amaranth is a kind of an ASMR Twitch streamer. And yeah, she's definitely easy on the eyes. And she kind of is not necessarily known for her video game playing skills, to say the least. But yeah, her doing news coverage or appearing on G4 after one of their hosts has just made like a huge outcry against women being used as eye candy for delivering video game news, is kind of like where it's kind of the intersection of like where this discussion on G4 and what exactly are they doing as a game, as like an influencer space or in the community right now. So
yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of it's a weird situation. Like, I don't feel like I'm properly. I don't feel like I'm the proper person to kind of make any kind of judgment either way on that. Like, I get the idea around, you don't want to over sexualize women, especially in such a toxic environment as like the gaming space. But at the same time, like I am also like, I'm sympathetic to what Amaranth does. Like, I don't really watch any of her stuff. I'm just aware of her because she always gets banned for doing weird shit. But but like, the discussions around women's sexuality tends to be very male gaze focused, and I think that kind of takes away from the agency of like women like Amaranth, who uses their own. They have agency over their own sexuality and use it to their advantage greatly. I think she owns a gas station now. Like, she's acquired enough wealth doing what she does to actually start like branching out and doing other things, which is great. I don't really have a problem. I don't have a problem with it either, one way or another. I remember, like, I don't really follow G4 that much anymore. I remember back in the day, they used to give Olivia Munn a bunch of shit over similar accusations of just being eye candy. And I think that, to a certain degree, women in this space are damned if they do and damned if they don't. So.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't realize that she was such a business mogul outside of Twitch, but good on her for doing that for sure. Saggy, I know you covered some of the latest news on your channel, but has anything new or have your thoughts changed at all since you last covered this, or do you still kind of have the same feelings?
The last thing I heard is that Amaranth actually was hired by G4. So they went from a guest appearance to a job offering. So, I mean, I think it's like, I have no problem with women if they're hired and they're making money to make their money however they want. Like, Amaranth obviously is one of those streamers who happens to use her femininity and sexuality, and that's fine. Power to her. But if you're gonna allow another woman to use your platform to have like a feminist like empowerment speech about, and that's the thing, when it first came out, I called bullcrap on it, because the fact that, and somebody tried to kind of call me out on Twitter and say, well, they were referring to themselves. I'm like, you're right, but if that was what they felt and they were referring to themselves, fine. But the problem was when Frost mentioned Olivia Munn and Morgan Webb. That was red flags, because if you go back to G4 when it was back on cable network TV, look at how G4 portrayed Olivia Munn and Morgan Webb. They were eye candy. They were there, like Olivia Munn especially on Attack of the Show. There was a Halloween segment I did a video on showing Olivia Munn basically being sexualized on that show. So for Frost to say something so ignorant like that was a bad thing, and then for G4 to stand by Frost's statement and then do this with Amaranth is the most hypocritical garbage. And this is why I say G4, you don't need to exist anymore. You don't. Like, the only reason why G4 was popping was because it was the first gaming network on cable TV. You don't need that anymore, because since G4 has been gone, what do we have? We have YouTube, we have Twitch, and that's where most gamers consume their news, is through YouTube and Twitch. So G4 trying to revitalize their glory days, it's like, no. And then them trying to use women like they did before, after allowing Frost to basically disrespect the audience. It's like, what are you doing, G4?
Yeah, definitely. And then like for me too, like I definitely am a fan of Amaranth, using her platform, using her, her brand, herself, isn't of her brand to, build into a business. But yeah, the hypocrisy is definitely very transparent, which is why I wanted to lead in with this. RJ, I probably know the least about your position on this, or if you have any like thoughts that you wanted to share on this topic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, like I said, the I think it's just it comes across very hypocritical because, like I said, if you stand by what Frost said, and they were so adamant about believing in the message that she proposed on that live stream, they really stood by her and supported everything that she had to say, which is fine. That's their right to do so if that's what they want to do. But then actually commit to it, And like I said, there's nothing wrong with like hiring this woman or like anything like that. But again, you came out so strongly about a certain perspective that you had. Now suddenly it's like you have a different tune, and I can't help but feel like it was done in response to all the backlash they got, and because they prioritize viewership in business, they're like, well, shoot, everyone's kind of mad at us right now. We need to do something to like increase business and viewership. So it just comes across as very superficial and just very tone deaf, honestly. It's like the best way I can describe it.
Totally. Retro Complex, Ken, what do you have to say on this topic?
No, not only that, they rebranded the channel. Now it's not G4 no more. Now it's X-Play. And and that
well, X-Play is part of G4.
No, not anymore. No, there's no more G4. Now it's X-Play, only X-Play. You can go look there where that was the news today too. This guy was talking about it. Vito was talking about it today too.
Oh, lame.
Oh yeah, they did that because they know they backfire. What they did backfire. They lost a lot of people, and on top of that, they were not only antagonizing with the sexuality and all that stuff. They actually were antagonizing people who are Republicans. So they were like really going at it, and the support was big supposedly, and all the ratings are going down right now. Barely people are watching their videos. Today's stream, they only had like 4,000 people in the stream. Like they do it really bad. And remember, this company right now is owned by Comcast. Comcast is not happy with them right now because Comcast invested a lot of money on them, thinking that they have an avenue in the gaming industry. Which right now, what they did and what Comcast led them to do is making them lose a lot of money. Because remember, believe it or not, Comcast is actually advertising the G4 or X-Play now. They're trying to advertise it the best they can. I don't know if you guys have gotten an ad, but I got in like 2 or 3 only. And they put in money on this channel trying to grow it, but the channel is flunking. So Comcast is mad. And they had to try to do, even if they had to back paddle, because this is back paddling, even if they had to do that, they're going to put now sexy girls in the show. Watch it. They're going to do that now because they know what they did was they know what they did.
I'm wondering if it's like more about trying to get more audience from the internet, people who mostly go to like YouTube and Twitch to get their video game coverage or influencer, feedback from. Mm-hmm. So like maybe this is like steps towards trying to integrate more voices from the internet and more influencers from that space. But or do you think they're just trying to appeal to the classic audience? Okay.
Yeah, they're just doing eye candy. Amarat, come on, Amarat. You have to feel proud of her grind because I like I said to everybody, if you have the body, if you have the looks, like you have the personality, use it all you can, exploit it all you can. Well, because you're gonna get something from it.
Yeah, like that's the common theme is like if you have it, use it, etc., etc. But then when you use it, you get this backlash. So it's like, where does female empowerment end and female exploitation begin in all of this? Because it seems like it's a very contradictory kind of argument to be like, okay, she's doing what she can to make money. She has all of the agency over her own sexuality and whatnot. And she's willingly putting this out there and getting a return on that from a willing audience, whatever may exist out there that wants to see it. So why is this such a bad, like, where is the demonization coming from? I know that G4 has a history, I guess, of displaying women in a sexualized light or manner and all of that. But we're talking about like content creators. We're not talking about someone who, I guess she was hired after the fact, but we're not talking about people who were hired to be brought in to do this specific thing. Like this is a thing that she does, and then she went on the show and did that thing that she does, and now G4 is getting shit for it. So it's like, what is actually the discussion here? Well,
it's because they're getting crap for her being on there because of the hypocrisy. Because they started off with they were trying to revive their programming, and they started off with doing this like woke kind of like thing where they were kind of basically trying to appeal and you know how you say there's a woke agenda. G4 100% went with the woke agenda because the being woman positive and diverse is trending. You have to be PC and stuff like that these days. So they thought that they were doing that and showing that was going to get them that audience to be like, yay, G4 is being inclusive, G4 is respecting women. And then it backfired because everyone was like, nah, we just want you to talk about games. Like none of that really matters. Like we didn't shit on your host because she wasn't hot enough. We shit on her because she has shit takes about gaming. And that was Frost's main issue with why she went on a rant, is because she started off by talking about the criticism she herself was receiving. And that led to her throwing in the whole, oh, just because I'm a woman, you felt like this. Like, no, it wasn't just because you're a woman. It's because you had shit takes. And granted, it might have not been your fault you had shit takes because you were basically explaining that you were reading off a script, which is fine. But you took that as a personal thing, and people on the internet didn't know you were reading script, right?
Nobody knew. Nobody knew. Mentioned it.
So if you just start off by saying, hey, you know, I know you guys are giving me a hard time because you didn't like the takes, but I was just reading a script. Boom, would have been fine. But then she had to continue like, just because I'm a woman, right? Just because I'm an attractive woman, that's why you guys are yelling at me. And it's like, no, that wasn't the issue. So when she did that, G4 thought that was going to be a win for them. They cheered her on. They supported her on social media. They kept it going. They locked down everything so people stopped crapping on them. Then they realized that, no, that was a bad move because now everyone's pissed. So what do? Okay, well, since we lost our deal because we screwed up, we're going to go back to the old ways and use women the way we used them before. And that's why people are mad.
No, the thing is, it's not like Frost is ugly. That's what it like us.
Right, she's not ugly.
She's not ugly. She's actually kind of cute. She looks like a tomboy, but she's actually cute.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess I just don't know enough about all of the extenuating circumstances around this particular amount of drama. It just, I don't know if I'm, because like the stuff about wokeness, like one of the key things about Amaranth is that she's very sex positive. She's a sex worker and she advocates for a lot of that. And if you want to talk about, you know, quote unquote wokeness, there is a lot of power and energy in that realm. So I don't really necessarily see G4 embracing that as being contrary to quote unquote wokeness. Like maybe they did it the clumsy way, or maybe it's just accidental. You know, maybe they were trying to go back to their seedier roots and stumbled upon something that was accidentally woke at some different capacity.
Well,
whatever.
Go on. So I was gonna say I talked to a woman. Her name is Liana. She actually worked for G4.
Okay.
And I met her through a friend. We were on a podcast. And we were talking about this controversy because she worked for them, so she knows the inside. And she dropped the tea, like she spilled it like it was hot. And what basically she said is that they 100% used women for their sex appeal because they're trying to cater to the male gaze and the male nerds out there and trying to make it say, hey, you know, girls can be sexy and play video games. Here are our titties. And that's exactly what they did. Actually, she was in a famous video, a famous picture of with Olivia Munn. Both of them were dressed up as Princess Leia in the slave outfits. Okay. And she had basically said when she was working on there, you know, they made her wear very uncomfortable things. You know, if the women had imperfections like their cellulite, which they had a little bit of cellulite, they had to wear certain tight clothes and hide that. They had to put makeup on it, cover it up. She said, yes, G4 100% used women and in a way exploited them. And now what they're doing is, granted, Amaranth is a sex worker, power to her, but they're also exploiting her sex work, right? They're exploiting what she does because they see an attractive, beautiful woman who's a gamer and does it and makes her money on her own, and they want to have that on their side. So they hire her, and they're going to get all of her audience now because they lost so much with the Frost thing. They got to get it back. So what are they going to do? They're going to find a sexy sex worker who has her own platform, and they're going to bring her in there, and they're exploiting it. 100%.
They were not expecting. They totally were not expecting people reacted like this. They were expecting people being more like, oh my God, she's amazing. She's a strong woman. She's a strong woman. And they were not expecting the reaction of the audience because you can see it. Even with this guy, the completionist, you can see on his face how embarrassed that day he was, because he didn't went there to talk about, oh, women are being harassed, no, he went to talk about gaming. And I understand the male community is really toxic. I can tell you that, but girls too can be toxic. But males are really, really toxic, and I understand that. Everybody knows that. We already know that, and there's many people who advocate for that. Defending girls in the gaming communities and all that stuff. But when you're creating a show, like me, for example, I do my show, I do my reviews, I do my stuff. I try my best not to bring nothing woke or nothing that has to be political or nothing. Because what? I'm just reviewing a game. You are here watching me because you want to know about a game. You don't want to know about people getting harassed or racism or not. No. You came to me to be entertained and forget about the real world for a second. And that's what was supposed to be G4. For us to go to G4 and watch a review or watch something new about news about gaming. Not about getting a lecture about how women are getting harassed in the gaming community.
I just want to
sorry.
Oh no, you're totally fine. I just wanted to add a quick disclaimer for our panel. The opinions of everyone here are their opinions alone, and they don't reflect on everyone in the panel. Mm-hmm. And highlighting comments from the chat, I just want to simply acknowledge the audience, and their participation in the discussion is just as valid as ours. So I just kind of wanted to err on the side of caution for folks who feel that this conversation's leaning one way or the other. It's not. It's an open forum for us to have equal say in our feelings on this topic, which I do appreciate everyone being willing to share fully transparently. I know that we're getting close to when Saggy has to go and start her show, but do we have any closing thoughts on this topic before we get into the next one?
Oh no, I don't have to leave. I rescheduled for tomorrow.
Oh, got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So we have a lot of other cool topics that we want.
Yeah, we're not getting rid of Saggy anytime soon. She's sticking around.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. No. I guess for me, I do align a lot with what Devin and Saggy have brought up as far as the use of strong of I shouldn't use this word strong, but the use of someone who is empowered by their career as a sex worker to use their platform to talk about video games and then be employed by this fledgling TV network to try and boost their ratings with her power as an influencer. So on one hand, I'm a little unsure of if I would call it exploiting if this person is consenting to having their labor being paid for by the studio. So I'm not sure if maybe I misunderstood you, Saggy, when you said exploitation or not.
What? Sorry, I missed that. I was checking the message real quick. What happened?
Yeah, no. So you mentioned that G4 is exploiting Amaranth by using her power as an influencer and being a sex positive person in the video game space. But I'm a little unsure if I would personally say if it could be considered exploitation if she's consenting to being paid for her labor to do it.
I mean, yes and no in a way, because so how do I say? So I know this is kind of different, but it'll make sense in a bit. So for example, Game of Thrones, right? A lot of the women who were nude in that show were porn stars or women who had no problem being naked, right? Because some actresses aren't okay with being naked, so they'll usually pay body double or something. But basically what I'm saying and saying that it's Amaranth is already comfortable with being that, but that something and you're right, to her yes, if she agrees to it, but to me it's they see a woman who is already comfortable being sexual, right? Where they don't have to fight her on it and be I'm saying hey, you need to show more skin. But with Amaranth, it's she shows it on her own. So going to her and be hey, you do this on your own, you have a platform, you got a lot of fans. I feel they are kind of exploiting her because I feel yeah, if they're paying her, that's cool. But, it is them kind of looking oh, yeah, we can use this to our advantage. they're not doing it because they actually want to hire her to do work or talk about it. They're hiring her because she's a sex worker. They're hiring her. It's not because they're hiring her because she's knowledgeable about games or she's a hardcore gamer. I guarantee you, like I said, Frost is part of the League of Legends community. She is a gamer, right? But I guarantee you they didn't hire her just because of that. They hired her because she also looks good. And if they really wanted to get gamers, they really wanted to show women empowerment. And I got flack for saying this, but like hire not supermodels. Like hire average looking women. They don't have to be, they could be plus size and still be beautiful. Like, why aren't you doing that? So it's like, yeah, if they're looking at Amaranth, like she's already taking her clothes off, why can't she do it for us? And that's why I say exploitation, because they're like, she's taking her clothes off anyways. We can get her on our team. She can take her clothes off for us. We'll pay her. And then we'll take all her fans and have them come here, because they will. Because they'll be like, oh, look, Amaranth is on G4. So cool. It's like, it'd be cool if she was on network TV, but now you're not doing that. So what do you do in G4 or X-Play or whatever you want to call yourself now?
They're gonna start hiring more people. They're gonna start hiring more bring in more streamers. Watch it. They're gonna do it.
Get Raya.
Bring in the streamers. Yes, I agree.
I guess like in a certain sense, it sounds like what you're kind of more upset about is just raw market capitalism. Just like like you've got fans, you're willing to show your tits. We've got this platform. Let's make a deal. They sign on the contract, and it's just like everything's copacetic as far as like whether someone's being properly compensated for their labor, whether or not all of that. It's just business basically. It's like
if they would have started like this from the beginning, like whatever.
Right, that's what I was gonna say.
Nobody would have any problem.
Right, that's
what's the fact that they tried to went woke on everybody so fast and so hardcore that a lot of people got offended. Like this guy, the other guy that was attacking the Republicans. He went crazy on everybody.
I do agree with like what Ken Retro Complex is saying. Like the platform and the mode of delivery could have been a little bit more tactful. And there's a time and a place to bring up these topics. Like I'm not going to go to. I think I used this analogy before, like with some folks. Like I'm not going to go to a white nationalist, rally and preach about, the benefits of critical race theory.
Exactly.
It's the wrong platform to do that. I need to pick and choose my battles, like no matter how like valid my point of view is, there's always going to be a best time to deliver that information. Right. I think.
And that's what I was saying. Like Ken was like kind of explaining more of like I'm not mad that they're doing it. I'm mad that they try to push some bull crap in all of their consumers' faces, basically, like all of their audience faces. And then when their audience is like, nah, you done goofed, they're like, oh, okay, you don't like us being women empowerment, so let's just exploit women like we used to and here's some titties. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel that angers me the most. Not that they're doing it, like good on Amaranth, like it's a good opportunity for her, but at the same time, it would have been a better opportunity if they started off like that. Instead of screw it up by having Frost do what she did. And then now like, okay, Amaranth is now there. So, I mean, they already messed up. So what benefit is it that she's going to get other than she's getting more money to do it for them? That's going to be short-lived because I guarantee you everyone's already done with G4 at this point. They're already done with these people. They already screwed it up.
What about you, RJ? How do you feel about G4's place in the community? Do you feel like they are just, fumbling and they need to just, go back into obscurity where they belong?
I mean, here's the thing, right? When they first announced that G4 was coming back, I thought it was cool. The reason I honestly cared is because they brought in people like Austin Creed, who's a wrestler I follow in the WWE. They brought in Gerard, the completionist YouTuber I really liked. I mean, they had really talented people working on the relaunch. It's just that I just think that it's just bad corporate meddling. I think it's just bad, like, mismanagement. And honestly, I think G4 is kind of like a product of a bygone era. That's just been, like, that void's been filled by YouTubers and streamers. I haven't, like, looked at anything that G4's produced being like, oh, wow, we really need this in the modern era. Like, I'm not, like, they haven't really, like, revitalized their content in a way that's more engaging than what they had, like, 15 years ago,
Right, but 15 years ago, RJ, they were the first.
Yeah,
like
they
they were the first gaming network.
Oh no, I know. I'm just saying like
like before esports was even a thing, you know.
Yeah, I guess I'm just saying like I'm not like they haven't really justified coming back yet, you know.
That's not true, Firewire. YouTube did not kill G4. G4 was dead because I think they had some financial issues back then, if I read correctly, and then they got bought by another company. They had to sell out, and then it just converted to like cheaters and cops and reality TV, and we're all like, well, what about the games and esports? They try to keep with the esports.
They got bought out by Tech TV at some point, right?
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, they got bought out, and then they tried to they tried to keep the gaming aspect of it by having esports, but like nobody was really interested because, like I said, but when I wouldn't say they killed it, but when they came back, yeah, I mean, YouTube did kind of put that nail in the coffin for them personally. For me, like, yeah, after the fact.
Yeah, no, this topic, I'm glad I got to hear a lot of different opinions on it, especially people who've been following it a lot more closely than I have. Like, my memories of G4, yeah, they were pretty like cheesy, you know, people like who could easily be like, you know, plug and play hosts on other, you know, pop culture TV shows, like pretending to know something about video games and trying to, you know, like plug ads for who, like, you know, different like Sony and Microsoft properties that were out in like the early 2000s to mid 2000s. That's exactly what I remember G4 being. So, I mean, I can get that on like IGN and like, you know, other like YouTube channels where that, you know, host their bite-sized bits of content here and there. Like, I don't need a whole network to the point that some of y'all were saying. But yeah, closing thoughts, Devin, on this topic.
I mean, it's a good discussion. I think ultimately what I get out of it is that it's more about G4 than anything else. You know, like it's probably just the wrong people to get engaged in any level of discourse around quote unquote anything related to wokeism. So, you know, and I forgot. I honestly didn't even know G4 was still around until you sent me the link. And I was like, oh, these guys still exist? Like I thought they you know went up in smoke years ago. So
you live in a very peaceful part of the internet where you can play video games and not be like confronted with all like the controversy. So it must be very nice, Devin.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I stay away from that stuff for the most part.
Ken, how about you? Closing thoughts on this topic before we jump into the Elden Ring controversy stuff?
No much, because everything has been said. The company's gonna die. Soon as they're gonna fall, there's no way to save them. There's better YouTubers out there that do the same content as them. They're right now in an ocean full of many channels doing the same exact thing as them. So yeah, for them to grow or at least come back, they need to do something really different, which they're not doing.
Totally. How about you, Saggy?
I kind of agree with Ken. I think G4, the shows that they try to revitalize, at the time, they were really their best, like a couple of their best shows. I think that if they really want to thrive, if they wanted to revitalize anything that came out of old school G4, the shows that weren't really getting the recognition they deserve, like for instance, Portal was one of my favorite shows on G4. It was a guy who was basically using like World of Warcraft style or RPGs and like made characters and stuff, and it was hilarious. It's hilarious to watch. So I think if they wanted to bring back G4's glory days, Attack of the Show, X-Play, those are shows that personally for me don't really have a place on YouTube anymore because there's too many content creators who pretty much do that and do it better, and they're actually genuine and actually care about the stuff they're talking about, unlike people who are reading off a script. So
yeah, definitely. Like, and when we say script, it could also be like, you know, like planned talking points given to you by like the game company or the marketing contact for the game company. Just, you know, thoughts that are not written by you yourself as you're speaking them. They're not true reflections of how you feel about the property. So yeah, RJ, how about you? Any closing thoughts on this topic before we jump into Elden Ring?
Yeah, I would just say again, G4. I wish they would do better at this point. It's kind of a smile thing. I would. I just want more consistency from them, and hopefully, again, that hypocrisy can come to a close. And hopefully, they got to either adapt or die. It's kind of the point at this point. Either adapt to the criticism being leveled against you, or it's not going to go well. So
Definitely.
I will
Yeah.
just say to that commenter that said that corporations only have money in the machine, like that's it. That's a hell of a thing that they have. Like let's not diminish the importance of money in all of this.
Money.
Yes, definitely. G4 is just, a walking advertisement for, the most available like funds to give to market the game. So yeah, totally. So like jumping into Elden Ring, I know a lot of y'all have been playing it recently. There's mixed receptions on it, and now we're hearing that there is like some feedback from some Western game companies about the legitimacy of the IP getting such good reviews out in the ether. So effectively, this is the takeaway from the article, but we can go ahead and read through it as well. So From Software, as y'all have called out, developers for Dark Souls and Elden Ring, the hottest game out right now. They are none too happy about some of the positive ratings and some of the feedback that developers from like Ubisoft, for example, saying that giving Elden Ring a score of 97 is proof that reviewers don't give a flying poop about game user experience. My life is a lie. I know, Devin, you are a veteran of the gaming industry, and you had a mixed bag experience with Elden Ring in your playthrough. But what do you think about some of the really, really positive scores that have been coming out from the game?
I mean, this is like a real. It's it's one of those games where you either love it or you hate it, and I can understand like a lot of people love the Dark Souls series, so it's not a surprise to me at all that it's getting the acclaim that it's getting. And I think most people who realized a long time ago that they didn't like Dark Souls games just don't go anywhere near it. Like, so they're kind of just not part of that discourse. But then there are people like me who like tries to give it a shot and is immediately reminded of all the things that we dislike about it. And there's a lot of game theory around the design of Elden Ring that this article kind of gets into, particularly with the UI UX and all of that. And I can go into length and have it in a few of my other videos about the design decisions that I disliked about the game. To the point of this article, like I don't know if like I don't know if it's saltiness or jealousness or anything like that that's causing these guys to have these reactions. I think what it is when you design something and you put something out, whether it's a game or a movie that is that exists in very stark contrast to like the modus operandi of everything else that it can be compared to, that it's going to get a lot of sharp criticism. That's kind of the point. It's like why David Lynch films are always a conversation of a topic of conversation amongst aspiring auteur filmmakers and whatnot. And I think Elden Ring tries to be that type of game more or less in the gaming space, so it's going to draw that kind of criticism. A lot of it, I think, is appropriate. I don't have a problem with anything these guys said.
Totally. Saggy, I'm not sure if you gotten to play Elden Ring or have gotten to watch other people play it, but I think like a topic for me that I kind of gleaned from this is like, okay, are we like denouncing games because they're too challenging or like for casual players, or because they don't have a proper rig, like a PC setup to run the game at a smooth experience? What are some things that like when it comes to modern gaming that like these high bars, like you have to be like it's a super hard game like Elden Ring, and you need a decent rig PC to run it in order to experience it at its to experience it fully? Or do you think that games should be designed with an equal foundation for anyone with any type of hardware to enjoy?
So once I heard that Elden Ring was like Dark Souls, I was like, no, thank you. Pass. But I will say that, like, I think with the technology that we are seeing, like with the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series, gaming consoles are getting more powerful. I think that they've been trying to compete with PC for a long time, and I think that they're slowly but surely getting there. I think when it comes to games now, I feel like they need to start doing it where like the games are on equal playing grounds. Because like for people who are like, we're seeing more crossplay, right? In a lot of games now, especially when they involve multiplayer, we're seeing a lot of crossplay. So I think it's probably fair that they start really building their consoles and their games so that it's fair for everyone, especially if you're going to do crossplay. With Elden Ring, I think the whole hype around it is kind of crazy, but Dark Souls also had that kind of same hype, which is why everyone was excited for Elden Ring, because people who love Dark Souls were like, what, another Dark Souls game? Like,
an open world?
Right, an open world Dark Souls, like, let's friggin' go. And I think it's the challenge that I see, like, it's a challenging game. That's why Dark Souls was crazy, because a lot of gamers like wanted that challenge. They wanted to feel challenged. Dark Souls delivered, Elden Ring's delivering. So I mean, yeah, overall, I guess that's what I got is like I want console games to be as powerful as PC, so at least we can have that experience.
I just want to shout out Fourth for calling out 24 people watching. It looks like we're up to like 26, 28 folks. Thank you all so much. This is awesome. Yeah, thank you all for supporting the show. I love talking about video games on here with a full panel. And Cool Guy says the guy on the bottom has the coolest beard. Yes, absolutely.
You know what sucks is like I miss being a small channel, because that ratio was more balanced when you're a smaller channel. Then when you get to a bigger channel, that ratio gets crazy. Like you'll have like 1,000 views, like 40 likes, and like 7 dislikes, and you're sitting there like, man, I miss the days when my ratio was balanced.
No, I'm so grateful. Like, thank y'all so much. It's just a credit to how awesome y'all are to spread this around to your audiences. So I appreciate it a whole lot. But yeah, Ken, Elden Ring, go.
First of all, Elden Ring is not 10 out of 10. There's no effing way you're gonna tell me that Elden Ring is 10 out of 10. Hitbox is bad. Some characters are glitchy. There's a lot of issues with the game. I can be all day mentioning all the issues with the game, and I'm a huge Dark Souls fan. Like I can mention so many issues. I was seeing somebody doing the PvP, and it brought me memories of DS2, Dark Souls 2. Hitbox. Oh my god, it was awful. It was awful. Now the game is amazing. The story is great. The way that they did everything for me is great. For me, the company Ubisoft is most salty because remember they drop a game, everybody was excited, and all of a sudden another company drops a game, and you don't hear nothing else about the game from Ubisoft. Nothing else. My Twitter went from what's the game? Horizon Zero Dawn or whatever, went from being the Horizon all the time to all of a sudden Elden Ring, everybody Elden Ring. So and plus what make them look even worse, at least Guerrilla make them look worse, was the tweets, the comments from few of the people who works there. They were actually attacking people they were actually attacking fans from Elden Ring. They were going at it. So that makes them look really bad, and that makes them look like they are actually salty that their game was not as famous as Elden Ring is being right now. Even though Horizon New Dawn or whatever it's called, it sold a lot of copies. So they should feel proud about that. But they still got salty because the number one game that was being mentioned was Elden Ring.
Definitely. RJ, how about you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Devin.
Just a quick thing. As somebody, like I've been in game studios who have, once a competitor drops a major game, literally everybody in that studio is playing it. So I don't doubt that everybody at Ubisoft is playing Elden Ring right now. And when that happens, there's a lot of discussions within the studio about the game in general, both from the point of view as fans, as everyone who works in the game industry generally tends to be a fan of games, but also from a professional standpoint. And when you talk about like the UI UX and the design of how that's done and all that sort of stuff, the performance issues are a little bit different. That's a little bit more straightforward discussion. But like talking about how a game utilizes its maps and menus and whether you could pause it and all that sort of stuff, I think that especially for designers, and I know designers to be particularly obnoxious people. I love them. Like some of my best friends are design centric people, but they can be very, very precious about their theory and how things should work. especially ones that have a lot of experience, with a particular genre of game. Like if you've worked at Ubisoft and you've been putting out Assassin's Creed and Horizon games and whatnot, you're going to feel a certain way when, you play another game that does the exact opposite of everything that, you've built your skill set around. And sometimes you feel cool about it. Sometimes it's like, man, I didn't even think that, I didn't even think to do it that way. But sometimes, it feels like you might, like, I feel like they might feel attacked from a professional level. Like, oh, okay, so maybe I'm just out of style. What is this going on? I don't quite get why there's that. Why I don't quite understand what the whole allure and appeal is of a system that functions this way, et cetera, et cetera. I will say, engaging with fans online for anybody that works in the industry is probably not the thing you want to do.
Exactly.
So these guys probably should have just avoided Twitter entirely. But it happens. They're humans too, and
of course, they totally. But they too had not done that. Now, yes, the game did everything different, and that's what I think. We're coming from an era that the games were holding your hand, and I'm sorry for people who like easy games, but I got tired. I was being held constantly by a game giving me opportunity to be better. No, I don't want to be better. I want to overcome an obstacle. I want to become better by learning something, not a game holding my hand. And that's why I started feeling with games lately, that all of the games that we're playing, they were holding my hand. I'm like, dude, stop holding my hand. Let me bust my ass a little bit. And that's the appeal, at least for me. That's the appeal. And to many people, they're going to tell you the same as me. That's the appeal of Dark Souls and games from software. They don't hold your hand. Even though this is something that people don't know, since Demon Souls and even before Demon Souls, the most powerful thing to you to go through the game is magic. Just use magic. You want an easy mode? Magic. You want to make it harder on yourself? Go melee like me. And this is from
I think that I think you and I could probably have a stream outside of this one discussing difficulty as a genre games. Like,
yes,
10 hours of opinions on that, so we could probably take that discussion elsewhere.
No, totally. I love having like these single topic discussions for like targeted streams for sure. So I can definitely work with y'all for that in the future. But yeah, I just wanted to get RJ's take on the reception for Elden Ring. RJ, you've been playing it. You said that you enjoyed the game. Any thoughts on the reception for it?
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the thing when it comes to me, right? I am not, I'm not the biggest Dark Souls guy. I mean, I enjoy those games just fine, but I never actually got far in them. I'd always get through like the tutorial and just give up. It was just never my thing. It was just kind of like a whole thing where I just like never really got into. Elden Ring though, like for me, like I think it opens up a lot more opportunity for what you can do. I think it's a lot more fun. I think it kind of puts to shame a lot of other open world games because of the level of freedom that you're given. I really enjoy that there's really no, you can go in any direction, really do whatever you want. The level of freedom given to you about how you can explore and like play at your own pace, I think makes it a much more accessible Souls-like game than previous entries, which I really, really like. And because I know Dark Souls and those types of games have always been kind of controversial because of the issue of accessibility. Like with the difficulty, it's like, okay, how do we make this to where it's something that everyone can enjoy, And that's a valid criticism, of course, because again, you want to make sure that you're making the best kind of games that you can, that everybody can play, right?
But RJ, people knew since the beginning, and From Software has been really open about it. They are a niche company. They do niche games.
Oh no, I
agree. The beginning, they've been saying this. Even the creators said the other day, I will not stop doing hard games. You want an easy game? Go and play another game. My games are always going to be hard. He said since the beginning. So the company has always been open about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's kind of like what I was getting to, where I feel like when it comes to like the magic system and again, the level, because like in previous Dark Souls games, they were sometimes very linear in a sense, because again, you're going in one direction. You need to defeat that boss.
Yeah.
If you don't defeat that boss, you don't move on, right?
Yeah.
With this, it's like, okay, I can't beat this boss. Let me go run around and go do something else. Go find another dungeon, go find another area and explore. Let me go level up, and then I'll come back and it's fine. Like, you have like a lot more freedom about how you want to like experience the game, experience that world, which I really appreciate. I really like that aspect of it. It's helped make that game a lot more enjoyable for me. When it comes to Ubisoft and all these other developers, I personally feel like some of them, it's not really, I would say, salt. I think it's just kind of like they're stuck kind of making very homogenized open world games like with Assassin's Creed. And I think there's a bit of not so much jealousy, but more so looking at the competition being like, why can't we make something more like this that can get this kind of broad appeal that like really excited and really revolutionized open world gaming, you know? Because again, they're making homogenized products kind of like they're kind of like cycling out these games every couple of years. And I'll be honest, at least for me, I feel like Assassin's Creed has gotten very stale. I think the UI is a giant mess. I think that the games are way too long and way too over bloated, for example. I mean, Horizon Forbidden West, I have not gotten to play that yet, but I've heard nothing but extraordinary things. I think in the terms of that game, it just came out at a really bad time because, again, it came out like a couple weeks before Elden Ring. So it came out, everybody played it, or the people who did want to play it played it. But then Elden Ring came out, and like no one's talking about it anymore, which is a shame because I've heard nothing but good things. It's just that it's just bad timing on the release date part because, again, it got overshadowed. So
that's really funny. Your take on Ubisoft's development of their games, because like the joke that I made a few weeks ago was that like From Software has managed to like do what Bethesda couldn't in releasing the same game over and over, making people think that it's actually a different game. Like they released Skyrim like 12 times and it's all Skyrim, but you know, From Software managed to release Dark Souls like the same like 7 times and people think it's a different game. Like the only thing I will say, the only thing about Elden Ring that I actually like, and I could tell that I actually like it more than the other Dark Souls games, is the fact that it's open world. Because when I get to that first boss or so, actually Dark Souls, I got pretty far, but Dark Souls 2, I got to like the first enemy and he killed me repeatedly. And I was like, all right, I guess I'm done with this game. But in Elden Ring, at least I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go explore around. I'm going to go do some stuff over here and there. And it kept me in the game longer. So I will say there's that going forward.
But hey, the poor jump is different. Now you can jump.
Yeah, no, just to kind of like segue from this topic, I just wanted to call out some highlighted comments. Darkness Under the Wind says, I honestly think that some of the Assassin's Creed games are pretty fun. It just some aren't, and some of the stories and a little bit of the future stuff are things people don't like. I think RJ, you were talking about that too. You had some criticisms about some of the recent Assassin's Creed games as well. I think it to Ken's point though, like when an IP has been around for like so long, like 15, 20 years or so, like you kind of there's some like colloquial understanding of, you know, what you're getting when you get into, you know, any new game in that series. Like I'm not going to, you know, try and sign someone up for the new Pokemon game if they've never played a Pokemon game, because I feel like there's kind of an intrinsic sort of like familiarity that a lot of people, if you grew up with the series, I would probably recommend newer games to you. But if it's your first time playing it, it would probably be a harder sell. So yeah, just like, you know, some brands just, you know what you're getting, like, and that seems to be the case of From Software.
Yeah, I kind of equate it to like Call of Duty.
Yes, yeah, exactly. That's probably a more apt description for sure. But yeah, cool. So like getting back on track to the next topic. Yeah, inflation. That's kind of been like a general topic around not only just the video game space, but like in everyone's lives. So some, you know, high level overview of some of the topics were like PS5 production is has been ceased, as well as like Xbox production and a lot of general hardware due to overseas China production plants ceasing production due to health issues and things like that, and also ceasing sales of hardware in Russia due to, you know, the current political landscape as well. A lot of that, in a lot of different people's opinions, may or may not contribute to inflation here in the States, but it's definitely impacting access to video games and causing some a lot of influx in pricing for hardware that's harder to find, like a PS5 or an Xbox Series S. So yeah, I don't know if like y'all can speak to your own experiences about, has this impacted your willingness to buy newer games, or is this something that you personally, budget for in your own personal lives? Like, how are you kind of like managing these current events and stuff like that with inflation and, gaming as a hobby? Ken, if you want to go first.
Me? Oh, yeah. No, it has not affected me that much. I already bought the new Final Fantasy game. I just budget everything, or just put in pay by 4 on PayPal and pay little by little, whatever I can do. Now that it's gonna be hurting later on if it continues this way. Yeah, everything's gonna go higher with the things that is happening right now with Russia and all this political stuff. Everything, even gaming is gonna go high. And plus, remember, most of those chipsets and stuff like that, and mostly they created on China, if I can recall. So that's gonna go really, really high in price. And I think if I can recall, United States too was stopping buying chipsets and all that stuff from China because China is united with Russia or something like that, I heard. So there's gonna be a whole mess soon.
No, definitely. Like, I'm a little unclear about like how a lot of like the inflation impacts the sale of software specifically, because there's now like, reports that certain states are going to be taxing on digital sales, which I find it really like, I personally don't have a huge like understanding of why that would be, necessary, because there aren't any like physical goods or, labor of transporting the goods to, across state lines or anything like that. It's just, a transaction to send a digital code. But Devin, I don't know if you're more educated on this and how, inflation has been impacting your, gaming buying decisions, or if like, digital sales possibly being taxed in the future in the States is something that you can speak on a bit.
I mean, I haven't really been impacted by inflation on the gaming side because I do most of my purchases digitally. And when I do buy a physical game, it's usually used, and it's usually something where its market value is inflated by the rarity of the title itself, old retro games and stuff like that. So I can't say I have any personal experience from that. I will say that, on my channel at least, I have a tendency to get a little bit more political about things. And I won't go that route right now, but I think people should be cautious about the supposed sources of inflation at the moment right now. Like, some of it is driven by market forces, some of it is, the situations going on with Russia and China and all that sort of stuff. But honestly, a lot of it is just good old-fashioned profiteering,
Yeah, it's not necessarily what's happening overseas. That's kind of what we're being told is related to it, but it most likely is other reasons as well.
And particularly in gaming, it's kind of like there's been a lot of discussion over the past years about whether or not games should be $60-$70, right out the gate. And Justin and I have certainly had a bunch of discussions about that, relating to the cost of game development, what it takes to actually make, bigger titles like, Horizon or, Elden Ring or, Witcher and stuff like that.
Right. Versus, I mean, you were talking about this because games are becoming like movies right now.
Yeah, very much so. Only with movies are a hell of a lot easier to make. So like, in a certain sense, some of these games, when you see them hit the market at like $60 or $70, that's kind of a reflection of the development cycle that, was required to actually put that game on the shelf. But a lot of times, especially and I think stuff like Steam and the Epic Store and all of that, they've kind of helped even out. They helped even out the distribution of like smaller indie games and whatnot. There are still some games that'll try to get you to spend $60 on a game that should probably be marketed at like 30 at the most. But for the most part, a lot of those indie games tend to be priced a little bit proportionate to what they deliver. So from my perspective, if you're looking at games and you see like a spike in prices, like PS5 hardware aside, that's a completely different thing, the PlayStation 5. But for the games themselves, then yeah, I would say be cautious about any kind of labeling of inflation based on our current economic conditions.
I actually wanted to get y'all's take on this, and this is like kind of a slightly political topic. As far as like PS5 sales, or Sony suspending PlayStation's sales for their consoles in Russia, do you feel like that is something that is like, it's hard for me to kind of discern like what to kind of gather from folks like pulling out business from this country, because like this is like kind of they're not the only like sort of warmongering quote unquote entity in the world, including our country. So go ahead.
Do you want to go, Saggy?
I was just gonna say. I mean, it makes sense because their initial goal is like, we want them to stop, because even though they're not they're not the only country out there that does some craziness like that. Right now, they're the ones.
Immediate effect
It's the immediate effect, right? It's what's going on right now. So I understand them wanting to pull their support, basically saying like, "Hey, if you don't cut this crap out, you're not going to get your toys anymore." But at the end of the day, there are some negative impact that's been happening, like Twitch pulling their partner programs from their Russian partners is kind of an issue, because there are people in Russia who aren't supporting what's happening right now, and you're now taking their income away. There was a Twitch streamer that I actually talked about last week who basically said, "Hey, like, you guys are punishing us for what our stupid president leader is doing. Like, this is my only source of income." And then you have to think like, oh crap, like, it's cool. Everyone's like, yay, Twitch is some support for Ukraine. Let's go. But then at the same time, you're like, right, but they're pulling their money from people in that country who don't support what's going on and are financially now dependent on that income. And you're punishing them for it. So it's kind of like, it sucks, because it is a good thing that certain companies are pulling away, like, hey, we're doing this in attempts to get you guys to cut the crap. But at the same time, it's like, but at what cost? Because there are innocent people now in Russia who are having their lives uprooted. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword.
I think what they're trying to do is put everybody against Russia using like psychology. I take this from you. You get pissed off, and you get pissed off at your government, and you attack your government. That makes sense, what I just said?
No, that's kind of the thing. I mean, when it comes to like people pulling businesses out of Russia and stuff, like banning movies or like not releasing consoles or video games and pulling support, I'm gonna just be frank. I am not a very I'm not very self-aware of like political or like world stuff when it comes to like how to navigate through crises like this. But just personally speaking, for me, looking at this from the offset, like, it doesn't seem like it's really going to do any good, because all you're doing is just punishing the average person. This doesn't affect Vladimir Putin. This doesn't affect the bigwigs over there who are committing these war crimes and the ones invading Russia. All this does is hurt the people who, many of which are already against and don't believe in what their country's doing. They're just hurting them as they try and just navigate and try to find some normalcy in their daily lives. Like, they're already miserable having to deal with the fact that their country's invading another country and committing these atrocities. Like, I don't see the purpose in punishing the average person, right? Sanctions against the government, sanctions against specific individuals in the higher positions, that makes sense. Punishing those who are just average citizens by removing access for them to just enjoy entertainment, to try and distract from the world around them and the horrible things going on. That, to me, I don't understand the purpose of that. To me, it just feels like these companies are essentially virtue signaling, acting like they're trying to do something to help, to kind of like position themselves saying, hey, at least we're doing something. We're trying to help, guys. We're being good. Give us some brownie points. But it's like, I don't know. It seems just a little ridiculous to me.
Yeah, Devin, I wanted to get your thoughts.
I mean, we talk about sanctions in general. The whole, I guess, economic philosophy around sanctioning a country is that you put a tight economic squeeze on that country, and the people will eventually, uprise and revolt against their government, and then that's how you foment change on the ground. That's the, I guess, working philosophy around sanctions. I don't think there has been any sort of evidence that that's ever been how it's worked at all. Quite the opposite. Sanctions, to the degree that we're leveling on Russia and even countries like Venezuela or Cuba or anything like that, tend to strengthen the hold that regime has over that country, because when those situations get desperate, economically speaking, they can start exercising more power, martial law and everything else. They can exert that power over their populace. So the idea that the best way that we can influence Russia to, I guess, stop their invasion is to completely cut their economy, completely cut their society out of the world, I think is inherently flawed. And I think it's going to have ramifications far more negative than we are imagining at this moment. And hopefully it doesn't ever get to that point. But yeah, it's really just putting regular working people in the worst possible situation that they should ever have to be in. Like, you're talking about the ruble that's worth less than the penny. You're talking about people making runs on banks and people that can't get paid in anything outside of the ruble now. They can't even get currency exchanges going. It's a real, it creates such a desperate situation that, there's really no telling which way it's gonna shake out as far as that particular conflict is concerned. At this juncture, it seems like Russia is just gung ho on completely solidifying their stranglehold on Ukraine, and obviously Ukraine's doing quite a job at staving them off. So what was estimated to take a few days has now been gone on for 3 weeks at this point. There's no telling how much longer that's going to last. That puts so much more pressure and emphasis on these sanctions, because like having sanctions like this to this level last for a couple of days or so, it's shitty and annoying, but it's much more preferable than having it last for a week or 3 weeks, a month, 2 months, or however long it might go on. It could have a lot of different ramifications down the line. And as far as like companies, deciding to pull their business, I mean, yeah, a lot of that is, quote unquote virtue signaling, trying to signal to their customers that, hey, we're in this fight. We support the right people. We're against the wrong people. And, we're doing this to show our support and all of that. And that, again, that's just another thing that really sucks for people in Russia. Like they have no say in what their military is doing. But as a result of that, they're getting cut off from all of these services that, some of them rely on, like, the Twitch streamers that can't get paid and all that sort of stuff. And that's just like one specific facet that relates to, the thing that we're all doing here, right? But, there's a bunch of different mechanisms which, people are affected in that capacity. So the businesses themselves, like, I understand, but I don't agree with it. Like, I don't think that there should be this mass. I don't agree with sanctions in general, but I don't think that there should be this mass move to make an entire nation of so many, hundreds of millions of people economically isolated to the degree where, you send them basically back to the Bronze Age, right? Like it could create a number of desperate situations, both humanitarian, economically, and militarily as well. Like there could be bad military consequences as a result of that. You make a superpower desperate, really bad things can happen. And this also kind of speaks, you mentioned it right up top, Ray, about, whether, America is the right country or whatnot to talk about, the kinds of things that Russia is doing. And my main point has been, like, if you look at what America has done historically, like in the Middle East, Iraq or Afghanistan, like, do you think that Russia and China didn't want to also intervene on those and stop us from exerting our military in that kind of capacity? Of course they wanted to. Just like, people want us to exert, our influence in Ukraine right now. But there is a very good specific reason why neither of those things happened. And it just sucks that, like, the idea that this situation could blow over into, like, Ukraine becoming, like, destabilized to the degree that Iraq has. That's a terrible situation. And I think that our economy, our government, our companies should do more to help those people and not less.
I am loving the discourse here. I love how, everyone has been so respectful and so open to having a civilized dialogue about this topic. Even though I started it off with, inflation and video game sales ceasing in Russia, it became a lot more, deeper conversation. I do appreciate y'all for sharing your views on it for sure, and I appreciate the audience for engaging in it too. But I do want to kind of put a pin on it because, I, as much as I want to continue this conversation, I think that a more dedicated forum for it and a panel would definitely be more appropriate. But thank you all so much for sharing everything that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a great discussion all around on everything.
Definitely. To put I guess a lighter closing story on our video game podcast, I definitely want to share this article that definitely brought a smile to my face, and it's in regards to the Xbox Series X being voted the most hated console in the world. So, or most complained about, I should say.
Really?
So, yeah, this is kind of a doozy. So
that's weird. What?
Potion sword run, take it, Potion, take it.
Wait, where is he? Oh, wait.
Well, hold on though.
I thought he was in the comments.
Hold on,
yeah, this is console of choice.
It is saying one of the big complaints is that it's a supply chain problem. That's one of
Which
the
is such a weird thing. How can you complain about a console you can't even get access to?
That's what I'm saying. If you're complaining that you can't get the console, that's not exactly saying the console's bad. It's just saying I'm mad because I can't get it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's exactly. So some of the other things too were that I was gleaning from this article were that, not only access, but availability of games, or variety of games, I should say, is definitely limited compared to the previous generation console. And let's see. There were also some other complaints too about how it was mostly just inability to access the console too. But I personally don't have an Xbox Series X. I was considering getting one for Game Pass.
I'm trying super hard to get one because I really love Xbox and their Game Pass. Series X could become my mainline console for most stuff outside of PlayStation exclusives if I can get it. The problem is actually getting one. So, because right now, you guys know Walmart has a subscription service now called Walmart Plus. You pay Walmart a few extra $100 to become a pro member. Suddenly, then they can give you an Xbox Series X that you have to buy for another $500 on top of that. But if you just want it off
what
the regular,
sons of bitches? What sons of bitches?
That's what I'm saying. You got to pay $100 or $100 or $200 to be a Walmart Plus member. Then you can spend another $500 to get your console. What?
Yeah, no, because when I hear about people wanting to get these hard to find consoles, it's always PS5. Literally, no one is getting an Xbox Series X as far as folks that I actually interact with and talk to. But like I said, the library of games just is not there. And also, according to this poll that they ran for this article, there are also some bugs with the connectivity of Bluetooth accessories and headphones. So yeah, I don't even know if now would be the right time to acquire one of these, as much as value in the Game Pass offering that it can offer me and the heightened gaming experience I could potentially get. It just seems like there's still a lot of hardware issues that maybe getting another version would solve.
I was not aware of any Bluetooth issues with the Xbox Series X. That's something I'm gonna have to probably research, because honestly, until I heard of this poll, I had no clue that was even an issue. So
totally.
How big is it?
That is a good question.
Because a lot of the I saw it being referenced in that article as a mini fridge. So I'm kind of wondering how big it is.
Well, my
kind of looks like one.
I think it's. I'll be fair. I think it's better designed than the PS5, because the PS5 is very curvy. It's kind of it's got this weird shape. It's very much a box. Yeah,
I saw the PS5 and the S-Book is a little bit smaller, right? I think it's smaller.
The Series X I think is a little bit smaller, but still pretty big. Yeah.
Okay.
I can just imagine this kind of being like the Windows 11 of consoles. Like, it's just like let V2 come out and then like, like try to sell me on that because it seems like there's a lot still going on there.
Yeah, I have a feeling with both the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, they're gonna come out with some slim models that are like very streamlined. They're not as bulky or big. They're just like because I think they need a revision to go back to like a slim model, like a better fitting because. When it comes to entertainment setups, they are a pain in the ass to work with, both of them. So,
Devin, are you a PC Master Race for life like our friend with Firewater?
I mean, I play but I play games on the PC most often now. But I'm definitely a console gamer. I just haven't, I haven't gone out of my way to try to find either a Series X or a PS5. I just know that's not going to happen anytime soon, and I'm not going to overpay for it. So I'm PC for convenience at this point.
Definitely. Saggy, do you have any thoughts on like if you want to get an Xbox Series X, or do you feel like you want to wait for the Slim, or you have no desire for Xbox?
Here we go. Here goes Saggy of their Xbox hate.
Potion sword run. Potion sword run.
Why are you laughing so much?
Your console's trash.
Do you own one? Do you even know?
Shut up, RJ. Your console's trash.
I have a PlayStation 2. So what you talking about?
Trash. It's trash. Hey, it's trash. Hey, it's trash. Hey, it's trash.
It's not trash. Most people are complaining they can't get it. This is different, Saggy.
It's so trash that you can't get it if you have cash.
So I'm assuming that means you don't want any Xbox anything in your house.
I have given up on Xbox since, Xbox 360 was the best Xbox out there. I had an Xbox One. It was okay, but I lost interest. The games started like Halo. I was a big Halo gamer, and the Xbox One, all those Halo games were kind of ass. And I just kind of lost interest in Xbox, and then I, got a PlayStation 4, and then kind of found my love for PlayStation games because I was hardcore PlayStation gamer. I played the 2. I kind of skipped the 3. To be fair, the only game I played on PlayStation 3 was Metal Gear Solid because it was only on PlayStation. So I wanted to finish that series because I'm a big fan of the Metal Gear series, but. Xbox 360, like I played Left 4 Dead, I played Call of Duty, I played Halo. Those are my like go-tos kind of games. And like Left 4 Dead 2, after that, Left 4 Dead fell off. Call of Duty was still okay on all the consoles, but I prefer the controls for Call of Duty on my PlayStation more than my Xbox controller. And Halo kind of just started slowly going in the crapper, especially after Bungie gave it up and worked on Destiny. And Destiny on Xbox One, it was fun at first. I did enjoy Destiny, but then they started botching that too. So there wasn't really much to keep me going with Xbox. Now, I know me and RJ have had our debates about it. I think that the Game Pass is an awesome idea.
The value is tremendous.
Right. You're right. The value is good. The fact that you could get all these games on Game Pass, it's great for gamers. I wish more consoles would do a Game Pass. But for me, Game Pass isn't enough for me to get a Xbox right now.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. And plus, like the high price point for the hardware and inaccessibility for it, on top of like these new issues that we're learning about, like that people who do own the console are experiencing with their accessories, it's just making me want to wait for that V2 Slim that RJ is prophesizing will eventually come. Hopefully,
yeah, it has to come out soon. I guarantee it. Next couple of years.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. It always happens.
What are the exclusives for the Xbox Series X?
Good question.
They got Forza Horizon. They had Halo Infinite just came out. There was also what else was there? There's a couple other ones. Hold on. Xbox exclusives. Because
I will say, like, I never liked the Xbox in general. Like, I was always a big Xbox hater. But I have an Xbox One. I used to not play it at all. Don't even know why I got it. But once my PlayStation 4 broke, I was like, because I just started playing Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, and my PlayStation 4 broke. And I was like, God damn, well, you know what? It's on the Xbox One. So I hooked up my Xbox One and downloaded it there. And I played it there, and I started playing a bunch of other games on it. And honestly, I don't really know the difference between, like, the games are so available on both consoles. I don't really know the difference between having one over the other. There are more, I guess, JRPGs available on the PS5 if you're into that sort of thing, or PS4 if you're into that sort of thing. But other than that, I don't really know what the Xbox really has to like draw you in.
I mean, they're kind of like in this slow burn phase right now, where it's kind of taking a while. Like 2020, there wasn't really much of anything. Last year they had like Halo Infinite, they had Phantasy Star Online was the big exclusive they got. There was like Gears Tactics. There was a couple other things they had. Battletoads, Psychonauts 2, I think as well. I mean, there's been a couple things that have come out, but like most of their big exclusives are like currently in development. Like they've just been like waiting and waiting and waiting. They're gonna start trickling out starting this year, I believe. There's a couple big ones coming out. So,
and plus with all these game company acquisitions, I'm sure they're going to be ramping up. It's just
yeah. Because this year, their big exclusive in the fall is going to be Bethesda Games' Starfield, their brand new RPG, sci-fi experience. So,
definitely. Cool. Yeah, no. I personally have never owned an Xbox console, so the only like appealing factor for me, like to Saggy's point, would have been Game Pass. But like I said, you know, I would prefer to wait for a later version of this console when it's more accessible. Cool. I guess like that is all of our topics for tonight. We're wrapping it up at around like an hour and a half. Again, my lovely panel, thank y'all so much for taking the time to chat about all of our topics today. We will start from the end and then work our way up. So Ken, Retro Complex, where can we find you at and what are you working on?
You can find me on YouTube on Retro Complex, where I review weird ass game that maybe you never heard about and some famous one too. And right now I'm working on review on Legacy of Kain, the arena one. That actually I want to talk about that game because I like the game, but I hate the game at the same time. It's a love-hate relationship with that game. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Awesome. And Devin from Yield Nerdcast, where can we find you at and what are you working on this week?
You can find me right down here on YouTube. Also, twitch.tv/Yield Nerdcast. This week is an impromptu week off for me. I've got a bunch of nieces and a couple of dogs I got to dog sit. So it's gonna after this, it's gonna be pretty busy for me. So nothing on the books this week, but next week, hoping to get back into doing some gaming with Justin, finishing out A Way Out. I don't quite know what's next on my gaming docket. I started playing Chrono Trigger last week, so I may continue on with my Chrono Trigger playthrough, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Legacy of Kain sounds awesome too, though. So
awesome. Thank you. I'm glad you're taking some time off, and I'm sure we'll have some more bad movie reviews upon your return. Looking forward to that. Awesome. And Toxic Melonz, Saggy Melonz, lovely online fiance, thank you so much for making time to hang out with us. Yeah. Are you going to be doing another stream tonight, or are you going to be just focusing on your stream tomorrow? What's up?
No, first of all, thank you for having me. And of course, I will always make time for my lovely Rhea, always. But yeah, I have a stream tomorrow, and yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, you guys already know what I do on my channel, so I mean, it's not like.
Wait, you have a YouTube channel?
Oh wait, hold on. What was that, RJ?
No, it's asking. I didn't know you had a YouTube channel.
Oh, I didn't know you weren't monetized. What? Oh, sorry.
Oh, pew. No, that's only because YouTube won't. I meet other requirements.
YouTube won't. I wonder why.
Yeah, no, RJ, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to have you on the
absolutely. Thank you for having me on.
What where can we find you at, and what are you going to be working on?
Yeah, pretty easy to find. Resonant Justice, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, all that good stuff. I just uploaded a recent video. I don't know what else I got planned, to be honest. I might do another stream this week. I don't know yet. I'm very flexible, just whatever I feel like doing when I wake up, pretty much. It's just how I roll.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing all the coverage of news and everything else y'all are working on. I'm going to go ahead and play the outro. Thank y'all again. Feel free to exit out of the StreamYard. And thank you to my lovely audience of folks. We capped it around like 30 people or so. I couldn't have been more thrilled to like have everyone engage on this panel and in the audience. So yeah, thank you everyone again. Have a wonderful evening. This is episode 23 of the Glimmer Cast, and we are signing out. All right, take care everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.